Okay, we'll start now. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So in the lab session, I talked about the CA scheme, how the your CA is going to be calculated. It was for lab, so we haven't discussed the CA scheme for the theory classes. For the lab, the CA is for 60 marks, and the split up was we have 8 practicals multiplied by 5. Okay, 5 marks for each practical, that is 40, and then I will be conducting a viva for 10 marks, and then you have to prepare a project or case study for 10 marks. So that was the CA split up for the lab. Now in the theory we have total 20 marks for CA. Now here I am going to conduct 4 activities, each for 3 marks. So it can be a MCQ test or a viva at the last, or anything, mini project or any case study. So it will be 12 marks. Then you are currently going through a NPTEL course on Swayam, and there you have to submit the assignments. For that I will keep 4 marks. Okay, so your final score will be converted to 4, and then I'm keeping 4 marks for your copy or notes. Okay, so what I have observed is, in this online lectures, you are not getting a proper notes. So what is happening at the time of examination? You are either relying on the online material, okay, because you don't have a habit of reading textbooks, okay, and you are not taking lectures running. You are not taking running notes during the lectures. Okay, so why I am giving emphasis on this? So you have to prepare a notebook, okay, and if you continuously take running notes during the lectures, then you will have a notes during the examination that you can refer during the examination. Okay, so for proper ML algorithms that we are going to study, I will be providing you proper notes. Okay, I will dictate some theory. Okay, so you have to, I will be providing a theory. Then during a lab, so we'll be using different libraries and different functions. Okay, that also you have to write in that notes only, or that copy. Okay, so you will be writing a Python code in that. Okay, so at the end of this course, so that notes will be a handout. It will be a handout of ML. Okay, so it will be a short summary of everything that we have learned in ML. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to prepare a notebook, proper notebook for ML. Okay, and everything that we are discussing in this course you have to mention in that. Okay, including our code also. And so I will be asking you to submit your copies at the most probably at the end of the semester. Okay, if you are out of Word, then you can just scan your entire notebook and send me the PDF. I will evaluate that. Okay, so till now, okay, I should have discussed this at the start of this course. Okay, but I forgot. So till now what we have learned in this unit, first we discuss labeled data versus unlabeled data. Then second topic that we have discussed is types of machine learning algorithms. Then so here we discuss 3 categories. Then next, in the second lecture we discuss hypothesis space, and then inductive bias. Okay, I think that's it, right? In the lecture 1 we discussed this one, lecture 2 and lecture 3 we lost due to technical issues, right? So this topic should come in your notes. Okay, so I am sharing the video lectures, recorded video lectures, so you go through that, take the notes, okay, and mention in that your notebook. Okay, so for some of the topic I will be providing the proper notes, but for simple topics, you have to take a running notes. Okay, any doubt? Don't be late for the class. Okay, so this is how your CA will be evaluated. So we'll start the today's lecture. So this is lecture 4. Today we are going to discuss, first one is the learning model. We'll try to build a block diagram of learning model. Second thing that we are going to discuss today is the example semi-supervised learning. And third one is the types of data that we have to deal with. And last one will start the topic evaluation, how to evaluate our learning models. Okay, so we'll continue with the same example that we discussed in the previous class, that is two class problem and with two features. Okay, we were having two features and there are two class present in our data. So we remember, if we have two features, then it can be represented in 2D feature space, right? And that two classes were positive classes and negative classes, right? So we were having a data distribution like this. Okay, now, so what is the ideal function? Who is classifying these examples? The ideal function is like this. So it is a polynomial function. It is a curve, right? It is not a straight line. Okay, but if you go with the linear regression and if you introduce an inductive bias and say that our learner will be a linear function, then this is the ideal function that you will get. Sorry, ideal not, it is the function that you are getting, right? Okay, the ideal one is this one, the curved line. That ideal function is known as the target function. Actually, we are targeting for that function. We want to learn that function, and it is represented by a function f which maps x to y. X is our input, in this case it is two features, okay, and y is the label, right? So it maps input to the output. That ideal function is known as a target function. Okay, so what is happening in our learning? Our aim is to find this target function represented by function f which maps x to y, okay, but it is unknown. It is unknown, that's why we are doing machine learning. If it is known, then we can directly have the function, no need to learn anything, right? It is unknown, so our target is to reach to this function. And what we have, in order to learn that f, what we have training examples. Lots of training examples are available with us. Okay, let's say n examples. So it will be in the form of input output pairs. Okay, so we have a training examples. Now we are providing that training examples to our learning algorithm. Let's call that algorithm as A, and our training algorithm, the output of our training algorithm will be the final hypothesis, right? Hypothesis, the another name for function is hypothesis, right? and we are indicating that hypothesis by h, and our ultimate goal is our h should approximate f. What is f? Our target function. That h should be very much closer to f. In this example also, as you can see, our h, this is our h line, this is our f line, right? Our h is very much approximating f. Okay, only difference is for this example, right? But we are okay with that error, right? Okay, so our h should approximate f. Okay, but we are helping our algorithm by providing the hypothesis space, right? We in the earlier class we discussed about hypothesis space. So we intentionally we introduce inductive bias. Okay, introducing of inductive bias means what? We first decide about the algorithm, right? So in this example we decided that our classifier is going to be a linear one, right? So we restrict our hypothesis space. That space is indicated by h, right? Now in the hypothesis space there will be a set of candidate functions. In earlier class I explained you, right? So once you decide the model is going to be a linear, there are n number of lines possible, right? All the possible lines will be there in the hypothesis space. So they are a legal set of candidate functions. Okay, now our learning algorithm will choose the best one out of this hypothesis space. Okay, so this h actually belongs to this h set. Okay, it is a member of this hypothesis space. So this is our total learning model. So this is a summary of what is happening in. So this is a figure of learning model. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you. So this is our ideal function. Okay, we want to reach to this target function. We want a function which is very close to this f. For that, for learning that f, we have a training examples which are fed to the learning algorithms. We are also providing a hypothesis space. Okay, so you look in this hypothesis space for the best function. Okay, so this learning outcome will output a final hypothesis represented by small h, which belongs to h, hypothesis space h, and it approximates f. So h approximates f. Okay, so now take a screenshot of this. Okay, so this is a summary of machine learning algorithm. Okay, any doubt? So I hope the theoretical part, the terminologies are clear to you. Okay, now second topic that we are going to discuss today is example of semi-supervised learning. So we remember one point regarding semi-supervised learning. So it has small portion of labeled data plus large corpus of unlabeled data. Okay, so let us discuss through one example. So consider this is our data set. Let's call it X. We have small portion in the form of labeled data. Let's call it X1. It is labeled, so along with X1 we will have Y1 also, the output, right? Input features and the output label, its label, and X2 is unlabeled. Okay, so consider the problem of find emotion from the input image. Okay, so this is our problem statement to find emotion. So you will be provided with sample images. Some of them are labeled and most of them are unlabeled. Okay, so let's consider we have three categories. Okay, smiling, neutral faces, and sad faces. Okay, so smiling faces, so we will have different patterns of smiling faces. So these will be the actual human faces. The neutral one, okay, something like that. And then we'll have some sad faces, and many more like this, something like that. Okay, now few of them are labeled. So we have a label for this image: neutral and sad. Okay, and remaining one, okay, let's say 10% are labeled and 90% are unlabeled. Okay, so now what we can do, so we'll decide about the training algorithm. Okay, so we'll feed our label data, that is x1, to our training algorithm. Okay, we'll feed x1 to the training algorithm and we'll get, so now we are utilizing only a small portion of the examples, so it will be a partially learned model. Now we can utilize this partially learned model for determining a label of x2. So take that model, partially learned model, and feed x2 to that. Okay, and what you will get labels, right? You will get a class labels for x2. Let's call it y2. Okay, now in machine learning search, if you find labels using partially learned model, that is known as pseudo labels. Okay, so this y2 will be the pseudo labels. We are not sure about its accuracy. Okay, but most of them will be accurate. Okay, because it is learned from the label data only, right? So such labels are known as pseudo labels. Now we have labels for x2 now, right? So the entire data set is labeled. Now we can give x to our training algorithm and we can build our final model. Okay, let's say the accuracy of this was 95%, and after using the pseudo labels and this partially learned model, and after getting the labels of entire data set, let's say the accuracy is 93%, then we are okay with that, right? Instead of just removing this unlabeled data, instead of not considering that, we are getting pretty much good accuracy, right? So this is how we employ semi-supervised learning. Okay, so I think this example is clear to you. Okay, so what we did, we had around 10% of label data. Okay, from that we applied training algorithm on that 10% data. We obtained partially learned model. Okay, we used that model to get the labels of remaining 90% of the data. Okay, those will be the pseudo labels. Then we have a label for 100% data. Now we apply same training algorithm on that entire data and we'll get a model, final model. If the accuracy reduces drastically, okay, then we have to move the next strategy. Okay, if it reduces by some margin or it may improve sometimes, okay, then we are okay with our strategy, current strategy. So I think this example is clear to you, so you can take a screenshot. And that was the example. Okay, now the third topic that we are going to discuss today is types of data. Okay, now your data can be of two types. It can be continuous one or it can be categorical. For example, continuous. So price is the example of continuous type of data. Okay, so you can have any value, whereas uh, gender. Okay, so we have two or three values for gender. Then let's say positive or negative. Okay, so if you have, consider the example of X-ray fracture detection using X-ray. So either you will observe a fracture or you will not observe a fracture. Okay, positive or negative, presence or absence of something, right? So your data can be categorical. So in categorical data, you will have discrete or finite classes, or you can say classes or categories. You will have finite categories. So gender, you have three categories, right? Positive, negative. Or if you have defined age groups, I am not talking age, I am not talking about the age, I am talking about age group. So you may have children, then teenagers. Okay, so below 13 will be the children, then 13 to 19 or 18 will be the teenagers, then then adults, then senior citizens, right? So you have four categories in age group, right? But whereas age can be continuous type of data, you can have any value between 0 to, let's say, 120. Okay, so you can have 1.2 years age, 1.3, 5, 5.5, anything. Okay, so we can have these two categories of data, continuous or categorical. Continuous means it can take, so I have not written here, so infinite number of values. So for continuous type of data, we may have infinite number of values. For categorical data, we have finite classes or categories. Okay, now this concept is useful when we discuss evaluation. Okay, so we are learning a model, and model will have some error. So if it is working on continuous type of data, okay, so case 1 will be when data is continuous. Okay, now we have input X and the actual value is Y. Okay, but your model, okay, for X your model is giving Y. Okay, let's represent it by Y bar. Okay, so in some literature we use they use Y hat. Okay, so this Y bar is the value written by your model, but Y is the actual value. Okay, so now let's say, consider your data is price data. Okay, so now consider you are determining a price of a second hand car. Okay, now the actual value in the data set is, let's say, 4 lakhs, and the value returned by your model, so this will be a y value, okay, and the value returned by your model is 4.1 lakhs. So what is the error? So error would be y minus y bar. Simple, right? So difference in the actual value and the outputted value is the error. So based on that concept, we have two categories of metric. First one is mean absolute error. Okay, so mean absolute error is y minus y bar. What is y? Y is the true value, y bar is the estimated value. In other terms, we can say that h of x, h is the function determined by your model, you applied on x, okay, so you can represent like this also, okay. So this is the true value, this is the predicted value. We do this, okay, for we find out for all testing examples, okay, and we take average of that. So average, another name for average is mean absolute error, okay. So if the actual value is 10, predicted value is 8, okay, so you are getting positive value. But if the value is 10 and the returned value is 12, the result will be minus 2, and if you do the addition, these two errors will nullify each other. That's why we take absolute value, okay, modulus of that, okay. So this formula is known as mean absolute error, okay. So in other terms, it would be okay. So easy to derive a formula. What was the error? This one, okay. They can nullify each other, that's why we take absolute. We take a summation for all testing examples and average of that, so 1 by n. So, name is mean absolute error, okay. Second one is sum of squared error. Okay, now our error is y minus y bar. We take a square of that, okay. If you take a square of that, then no need of taking absolute, okay, and we do the summation and then take an average, okay. So this formula is known as sum of squared error. Now the advantage of taking square is, first one is you need not to worry about the sign of your error, okay, and if you take a square, then higher the error, then higher will be the value, okay, because you are taking a square of that, okay. So 2 ka square ho jayega 4, then 3 ka 9, okay. So more error, then more will be its resultant value, okay. So that's it, okay. So our case 1 is over when the data is continuous, okay. Then the subtraction between the true value and the predicted value will give you the error, okay. Based on that, we have these two metrics. Now case 2 is when the data is categorical, okay. So now in our previous example, age group example, there were 4 classes, okay. Now you cannot take a simple subtraction. So now consider this is our class A, B, C, D. So when the actual class is A and the prediction is A, then we can say that no error is present, okay. But when when our model gives you the output either B or C or D, then we can say that there is a error. Okay, and it is not like that when it says B or C or D. Okay, there will be a same amount of error will be there. Okay, B के टाइम एक है, C के टाइम दो है, D के टाइम 3 है, ऐसा नहीं है. Okay, there is same error. That's why we define one function called delta function. Okay, so the parameters will be the true value and the predicted value. Okay, we will take a value, the summation from I to n, then we take a mean. Okay, now what is this delta function? Delta y bar will return 0 if y equals to y bar. Okay, now when the true value and the actual value is same, then the delta value will be 0, 1 otherwise. Okay, so what we are doing, we are just, okay, no need of 1 by n, we are taking, okay, so for example, out of 10 training examples, if 4 are misclassified, okay, 4 are misclassified, so for those 4 values the delta will return 1 because they are not equal, right? Okay, so we are taking a summation of for all testing examples. So this is actually a formula of number of misclassification. We are counting misclassification, how many are misclassified. Okay, and divided by n means will be the percentage of accuracy. Did you get this formula? Okay, so take a screenshot of this evaluation concept. Okay, there are two cases based on the type of data you have. Okay, now we'll discuss very important topic called confusion matrix. Okay, here also we have two cases. Case 1, okay, now we will restrict our attention to two class problem. Okay, and two classes are positive and negative. Okay, so now we can form a grid. So along the columns we have a true value and here we have predicted value. So we may have this combination, right? So true value represent the actual values and these are the predicted values. So when the actual value is positive and our model is predicting positive, that means this is a favorable case and this is known as true positive. Okay, ये correctly classify कर रहा है positive examples को. Okay, the actual values are positive. Okay, and the our model is predicting positive. Okay, so it is known as true positive. Okay, so TP stands for true positive. Okay, the next one is the true label is negative and our model is predicting it as negative. This is also a favorable case. This is known as true negative. Okay, TN stands for true negative. Okay, now here what is happening, a true label is negative but our model is saying positive, so it is giving false alarm, right? So the true label is negative and our model is predicting it as positive, so it is giving access to the unauthorized person, right? Or false alarm, it is giving false alarm. So this category of result is known as false positive. So गलती से वो उसको पॉजिटिव डिक्लेयर कर रहा है, राइट? ओके, सो फॉल्स पॉजिटिव, सो दिस इज नॉट अ फेवरेबल केस. So FP stands for false positive. So false positive are dangerous. Okay, and the last one is the true label is positive and your model is predicting it as negative. This is known as false negative. वो wrongly उसको negative बोल रहा है. Okay, इसको ऐसे रीड करना, उसको wrongly negative बोल रहा है. ट्रू पॉजिटिव वो करेक्टली उसको पॉजिटिव क्लासीफाई कर रहा है. ट्रू नेगेटिव उसको वो करेक्टली नेगेटिव क्लासीफाई कर रहा है. फॉल्स पॉजिटिव वो रॉन्गली उसको पॉजिटिव बोल रहा है और ये रॉन्गली उसको नेगेटिव बोल रहा है. सो दिस टू आर नॉट फेवरेबल. ओके, सो लास्ट वन इज फॉल्स नेगेटिव. Okay, now we'll take one example. So let's say positive and negative. We have 100 sample. Okay, true values. So we have 50 positive samples and 50 negative samples. We have trained our model and it is predicting, okay, predicted 48 samples as positive and remaining as negative. Okay, summation would be 100, right? Okay, so this is our prediction of our model. But actually, okay, out of this 48 samples, 47 are correct. Okay, one sample which was negative, it is predicted as positive, and out of this 54, let's say 48 are correct. Okay, 4 are wrongly classified. So this is the scenario. Now we will calculate this confusion matrix for this example. Okay, so this will be the case when you train any model, okay, classification model. So true and predicted, positive, negative, positive and negative, true and predicted. Now tell me what will be the value here. Anyone? Be loud. Which value will come here?
47.
Yes, true positive, but its value. I want value for this example. One said 47. Any other answer? 50. Okay. Any other? ओके, इसका मीनिंग क्या है? ट्रू लेबल पॉजिटिव है और अपना मॉडल उसको पॉजिटिव बोल रहा है. सो फॉर हाउ मेनी सैम्पल इज इट इज़ हैपनिंग? इट इज़ हैपनिंग फॉर 47 सैम्पल्स. ठीक है, टोटल उसने 48 पॉजिटिव बताया. ओके, बट एक मिस क्लासीफाई हो गया है, राइट? सो 47 सैम्पल्स के लिए क्या हो रहा है? उसका लेबल पॉजिटिव है और अपना जो मॉडल है वो उसको पॉजिटिव बोल रहा है, राइट? So 47 will come here. Okay, now what will be the value here?
One.
1. Okay, any other? Any other answer? Anyone with 1? Yes, 1 is correct. Why? So what is the expected value here? True. वो नेगेटिव है बट अपना मॉडल उसको पॉजिटिव बोल रहा है. सो दिस इज हैपनिंग फॉर 1 सैम्पल जो गलत हो गया था, राइट? 48 उसने पॉजिटिव बोले थे, उसमें एक निगेटिव है जिसको उसने पॉजिटिव बोला है, राइट? I repeat, okay, our model said 48 samples are positive, okay, but we actually know 47 are positive, one was negative and it was predicted as positive. Okay, so negative था actually but उसको positive बोला गया. It happened for one sample. Okay, चलो ये बताइए, this one, how many are true negatives? True negative, correctly negative कितने लोगों को बताया गया? Please be loud. 48, yes, 48 is correct. 48 नेगेटिव है और नेगेटिव ही बताया गया. ओके, करेक्टली क्लासिफाइड नेगेटिव एग्जांपल्स. सो ये कॉलम में जाना पड़ेगा, नेगेटिव, और टोटल 52 नेगेटिव प्रिडिक्ट किए गए बट उसमें से 48 ही नेगेटिव है. ओके, एंड क्विकली टेल मी द वैल्यू ऑफ दिस. पॉजिटिव 4, यस, पॉजिटिव है बट निगेटिव बताया गया. दिस हैपेंड फॉर दिस 4 सैम्पल्स. ये 52 का स्प्लिटअप क्या है, 48 एंड 4. 48 निगेटिव थे, निगेटिव ही बताया गया, और 4 ऐसे सैम्पल्स है जो पॉजिटिव है बट उनको निगेटिव डिक्लेयर किया गया. सो दोज वर 4. ओके, देर इज़ अ लैग. ओके, सो सी, so 47 and 48 are the correct values. Okay, 1 and 4 are the errors. Okay, now can you tell me what will be the accuracy of our model? Can we derive a formula from this example? Accuracy, तो accurate कितने samples है, 47 और 48, right? So I can take a summation of 47 and 48 divide by, okay, डिविजन यानी क्या बोलते हैं इसको, डिविज़र. डिविज़र में क्या वैल्यू आएगी, एक्यूरेसी कितना एक्यूरेट है अपना, एनीवन? देखो, टोटल 100 सैंपल में से उसने 47 प्लस 48 करेक्टली क्लासीफाई किए. ओके, 1 प्लस 4 दैट इज़ 5 मिस क्लासीफाई किए. ओके, 5 मिस क्लासीफाई किए आउट ऑफ 100. सो कैन आई से माई मॉडल इज़ 95% एक्यूरेट, राइट? Yes, right. Okay, out of 100 samples 5 are misclassified. Okay, so my accuracy is 95%. In order to reach to this value, okay, the denominator should be 100, and actually it is a summation of all possible values in our grid. Okay, 47 plus 1 that is 48, 48 48 96 plus 4 that is 100. Okay, so denominator will be TP plus FP plus FN plus TN. Okay, और ये क्या है, TP FP, it is number of samples falling in that category. ये number है. Okay, so we'll do the summation of all the numbers present in our confusion matrix. Okay, and the numerator would be जो अपना करेक्टली क्लासीफाई किए गए हैं, दैट इज ट्रू पॉजिटिव एंड ट्रू नेगेटिव. ओके, सो फॉर्मूला ऑफ एक्यूरेसी वुड बी ट्रू पॉजिटिव प्लस ट्रू नेगेटिव. ये अपने करेक्टली क्लासीफाई किए गए सैम्पल्स है. ओके, करेक्टली पॉजिटिव बोला गया, करेक्टली नेगेटिव बोला गया. ओके, ट्रू पॉजिटिव प्लस फॉल्स पॉजिटिव प्लस ट्रू नेगेटिव प्लस ट्रू false negative. This is the formula of accuracy. Okay, now sometimes this formula fails. Okay, I can tell you one simple example. Let's consider you have highly imbalanced data. Imbalanced data यानी क्या, अभी हमने जो एग्जांपल देखा था दैट वाज अ बैलेंस डेटा. ओके, इसमें 50 पॉजिटिव थे, 50 नेगेटिव सैंपल्स थे. अब हम एक केस देखेंगे विच इज़ हाईली इम्बैलेंस डेटा. अब इसमें क्या करेंगे हम, 95% लेट्स से नेगेटिव सैंपल्स है एंड 5% आर पॉजिटिव सैंपल्स. ठीक है, सो यू कैन सी देर इज इम्बैलेंस बिटवीन द क्लासेस, राइट. एक मेजॉरिटी 90 एक क्लास में बिलोंग करते हैं. अब इसमें एक मैंने सिंपल क्लासीफायर बनाया विदाउट लर्निंग अ मॉडल. माई मॉडल इज आई विल लेबल एवरी गिवन सैम्पल एज नेगेटिव. मैं कुछ चेक नहीं करूँगा, आई विल प्रिडिक्ट एवरी गिवन सैम्पल एज नेगेटिव. अब मेरे इसमें कितना ये रहेगा, उसका एक्यूरेसी कितना रहेगा. लेट्स बिल्ड अ कन्फ्यूजन मैट्रिक्स. ट्रू एंड प्रिडिक्टेड, पॉजिटिव, नेगेटिव. सो दिस इज माय कन्फ्यूजन मैट्रिक्स. ओके, तो मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, जो भी सैंपल आएगा उसको मैं नेगेटिव डिक्लेयर करूँगा. ओके, सो फॉर 95 लेट्स से द समेशन इज 100. ओके, सो 95 सैंपल्स जो ऑलरेडी नेगेटिव है उनको मैं नेगेटिव प्रिडिक्ट कर रहा हूँ. सो 95 विल कम हियर. वो नेगेटिव है और उनको मैं नेगेटिव बोल रहा हूँ. ओके, नाउ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग फॉर दिस 5 पॉजिटिव लेबल्स. वो पॉजिटिव है और वो मैं नेगेटिव प्रिडिक्ट कर रहा हूँ. वो पॉजिटिव है, उनको मैं नेगेटिव प्रिडिक्ट कर रहा हूँ. किसी को मैं पॉजिटिव बोल ही नहीं रहा हूँ. सो फर्स्ट रो विल बी 0. ये 0 है. नाउ लेट्स कैलकुलेट एक्यूरेसी. So it is true positive plus true negative divided by true positive plus false positive plus true negative plus false negative. Okay, and I told you it will be this principal diagonal. Okay, numerator is what? Numerator is principal diagonal. So 0 plus 95 divided by summation of all. Okay, there is a lag. Okay, so 0 plus 95 plus summation of all samples. So 0 plus 0 plus 5 plus 95, and for this simpler classifier I am getting 95% classifier, 90%, 95% accuracy without doing anything. Okay, and the main reason for that was the imbalance in my data, right. So how to overcome that we will discuss tomorrow. So did you get this example? ओके, तो सिंपल अपना मॉडल लर्न किया और एक्यूरेसी फाइंड आउट की और वो 92% आया. सो दैट इज़ नॉट अ गुड साइन. ओके, फर्स्ट यू हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई हाउ वाज योर डेटा. ओके, एंड देन you can talk about your result. Okay, any doubt regarding this example? Okay, so you can take a screenshot of this. So confusion matrix is clear to you, right? We have discussed case 1 in tomorrow's lecture. We'll discuss case 2 when we have more than 2 classes, how to create a confusion matrix, then how to handle this imbalanced data case, and then we'll discuss matrix called precision and recall. Develop a habit of taking running notes. Okay, the final page. Okay, we'll stop here. Any doubt? So what we learned today? We discuss a block diagram of learning model. Okay, so the ideal function is known as a target function, and our learning algorithm is giving us a edge function. Okay, that will be our final hypothesis, but that edge should be closer to f. That edge should approximate f. Okay, and then we discussed the example of semi-supervised learning. So remember that example, and the process was like this. Okay, you use the small portion of label data for generating a partially learned model. Use that partially learned model to learn the pseudo labels. Okay, then you utilize entire data and build your final model. Okay, and every stage you keep on calculating the accuracy score. Okay, otherwise you have to move to the next strategy. Then we learned two types of data, that is categorical data and continuous data. In categorical data we have finite classes, okay, and in continuous data we have infinite number of values. And because of that only, during the evaluation, either you can simply take a subtraction difference between the actual actual value and the predicted value. That would be the error. Okay, and then we have two forms of that formula: mean absolute error and sum of squared error. And if your data is categorical, then you will get a misclassification. You can calculate a misclassification using this formula. We have defined this delta function. The function is given here. And in case of a classification problem, okay, categorical data, we can build a confusion matrix. Okay, and we have discussed this example.